The next episode of The Commercial Break starts now.
I've got my hot toddy ready to go because it's feeling a little crisp in the air. By crisp in the air, I mean it's only 87 degrees outside. Toasty Atlanta. I know. Ooh. I went to the lake this weekend, which was where my father is enjoying his retirement. I'll say hi to my father, who's now become a fan of the commercial break. I don't know if he's a fan of the commercial break or he's hate listening. He's like, he knows I got that funny voice for my mom. He's just waiting for me to make a funny voice about him so that he can disinvite me to the lake. So he can be like, I'm sorry, we're really busy this weekend.
Does he have a boat?
He does have a boat. He has a boat, and it's a hell of a boat. It's nice. It's like the boat from Gilligan's Island. And he's the skipper. It's a pontoon boat. So it's a boat with two pontoons and then, a whole flat area. It's like a big old open area. And so when we go up there to the lake, my son absolutely has fallen in love with the boat, just like I did as a child. It's like just a thing. It's fun.
It's a ride.
Yeah, it's a ride. So, but when we were kids, we had a ski boat, like an open bow ski boat. Yeah. So there wasn't a ton of room to run around. You were either sitting up front in the open bow or you're sitting in one of the captain's chairs in the back. And that thing went. I mean, it goes, right? And so my dad now has this pontoon boat that's much more of the speed for small children because you can just kind of run around, right? But they have these little doors that pop open on each side and then in the front. And my son, he just runs back and forth on the boat, just runs and runs and runs, trips, falls, bangs his head, runs and runs.
Jumps back up again.
My dad will go under the bridge. He'll slow down for a second. And then, as soon as my dad starts to pump the gas, my son is in the middle of the boat, just standing there. He just flies to the back of the boat, flies to the back of the boat. So my dad turns to me, and it's obvious that now Matthias is, of a certain age, that he's just a wild child. He's a boy. He's 2 years old and he's doing, he's a maniac, basically. He's a Brian Green Jr. is basically what he is.
Oh, Lord.
He's a maniac. He doesn't stop. TikTok, he doesn't stop. And so my dad looks at me. We're on the boat taking this lovely, evening stroll around the lake. And my dad turns to me and he goes, he didn't turn to me, actually. He's yelling at me. Okay, listen. If Matthias falls in the water, the first thing you do is you get your own life jacket and then you go in after him. And I'm like, what? And he's like, if Matthias falls in the water, get your own life jacket, and then you go after him. And I'm like, Dad, if my son falls in the water, I'm going right after him. Like, if my son flies off the boat, I'm just going to jump in after him. No. We don't need 2 drownings. We just want 1. And I'm like, Dad, I think you've thought about this way too much. Are you? Now I think my dad's really concerned about my son falling off the boat because he spent way too much time thinking about what happens if my son falls off the boat. And now he's got to communicate that to me. So, but it's a lovely lake. And, I went up there and there's a chill in the air. It's Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend. There's a chill in the air.
Yes, it's definitely getting cooler. I love it. I
do. I love this time of year.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
It is my favorite time of year. So you're going to go to, what are you going to do? You're going to go to www.tcbpodcast.com and you're going to join the break room. And I'm going to tell you why you should join the break room right now as you're sitting there listening to this podcast, because you as a break room member will have all access to our now YouTube video channel with thousands and thousands of seconds of video that we've recorded for your viewing pleasure. Say what? Say it's not true. Oh my God. We have last week's video is up there and we have started recording these for YouTube. But right now only the break room members have access, Krissy. So it's a very exclusive and elusive club that you can join, and there's only a few steps you have to take, but you've got to go take those steps. You got to go to www.tcbpodcast.com. There's a big button there. It says join the break room. Go ahead and enter your information, and shithead is not a first name, just in case the smart asses out there were wondering. I've had about 4 shitheads so far. So people are funny, man. They just think the internet is just a world of cloak and dagger, and they don't, I believe they think it's hurting my feelings. It's not hurting my feelings. I think it's quite funny, actually, when you write shithead for your first name and then 123@computer.com. Like, oh, you got me, man. You got me. But, that's the world we live in.
America.
So go there and you can join the break room. You'll get access to our now live YouTube channel. We will go public with that YouTube channel in a couple weeks or maybe a month. But for right now, only the break room members get that. So you want to be a part of that club. You'll also get our newsletter with extra content every single month. And that newsletter, Krissy, need not I remind you that newsletter is coming fast and furious on my calendar. I have to actually get around to doing that. And so you'll join the break room there. And also we are soliciting sound bites, any audio that you think is funny, including song parodies, clips, little bits that you guys out there in the internet's world do. We are soliciting those openly and freely, but you have to agree to two things. Number one, you have to agree you own the content. Do not send me clips, whole movie clips and expect me that I can play it, because I can't play it because I'm not Howard Stern. So I don't have that kind of dough, Krissy.
Yeah.
Number two, and this is most important, I'm not paying you for anything that you send me. So you have to agree to those two things, and I will send it right off to you. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize something here right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Krissy Hoadley, my good friend. We've been friends for how long, do you think?
Well, I was saying since 2007. So
like 13 years. Wow, yeah. Time flies.
I can't believe it.
So Krissy and I met at a large radio company that we worked at. And if you listen to the show, you know which radio company. I don't feel like dropping their name right now. But we met at a large radio company. We were working at the same cluster of radio stations. Cluster. It was a cluster. Cluster was a good name to describe it. It was like the gang that couldn't shoot straight over there. But we were, listen, to be fair, we were part of the gang that couldn't shoot straight. So, just all's fair in love and war. And so we met at this cluster, and Krissy and I became instantaneous friends. I was married at the time. I was brand new to the cluster in a brand new position with brand new responsibilities that no one had ever had before. And Krissy and I quickly found a kinship together. I think you'll agree that we were
absolutely
fast friends.
We were fast
and troublemakers at that.
Yes.
I shortly got a divorce after I started Clear Channel. My wife quickly filed for divorce after I started working at Clear Channel, probably because I was working at Clear Channel. And so then Krissy and I's friendship went even,
well, at that point, we're both single.
We were both single.
Going out to all these different radio promotions and parties and concerts and things. So, yeah, we were on the loose.
We had the Atlanta Braves are the professional baseball team here in the United States of America in Atlanta, Georgia. And one of the guys who worked at the Braves even though I didn't work directly for the Braves, we had the broadcasting rights to the Atlanta Braves. And so along with those broadcasting rights came a whole shitload of perks, right? Yeah. Tickets out the wazoo. You never wanted for a ticket to the Braves game.
Luxury
boxes. You took your client.
Plate.
A huge tab at the bar in the private club upstairs. I mean, it was a whole thing. Like those guys did a great job of negotiating those rights, because along with it came about $75 million worth of free booze for just Krissy and I, basically. So the guy who was in charge of and responsible for the Braves did me a favor and gave me like an all access pass one season. He's like, well, you're not technically a part of the Braves radio network, but you're I don't know, maybe he thought I was a funny guy, and he just said, here, we're gonna get you a pass. Here's a pass. And so
you were good with clients.
I was good. I was good with clients. Shots.
Right. I don't know how many actual full games I watched, because somehow everybody ended up at the bar.
There was no interest in baseball.
Back to the game.
I don't remember one thing about the baseball game. But I remember a lot of great times in that particular season or two when we had kind of the run of the roost, right? Yeah. Here at Turner Field, when we were doing whatever it is we wanted to do, because we had these passes around our neck that ensured that no one was going to fuck with us no matter what we did. We're basically a bunch of spoiled brats running around the stadium, making our radio cluster look horrible. Right. Whatever. And so Krissy and I, now we find ourselves both single, out on the town at these Braves games, at all these events. It's just, radio was a fun atmosphere to work in, because there were a lot of late night activities that you could go and do. And it was fun. And we had a lot of friends that joined us with us. So our friendship deepened at that point and then continued on from there as we've grown and most definitely not matured. But, you know, we drink a little bit less, but I'll leave it up to you to determine what little means.
Right.
So when I decided that I was going to jump on this whole podcasting bandwagon, I had done some radio before. So I've gotten this question a couple times, so I'll answer it on air. You know, have you done radio before? Because it sounds like it. I have done radio before, but trust me, it's nothing to brag about because I got kicked off the radio. I was kicked off more than I was kicked on. Let's put it that way. And this is where we met here at the radio station. So when I decided but I've always loved the format, the medium of audio since I was a little kid, and I would make up little radio station bits to like, you know, a tape cassette recorder. I would literally put 3 tape cassette recorders together to like, you know, make little bits up. I would record one piece and then I would play it while I was talking over the other piece and then some music behind it. And I always thought those guys that were on the radio stations, the rock radio stations in Chicago, were really cool, right? And so I've quite enjoyed this medium. But when I decided I was going to do a podcast, I really wanted to do what's called a solo chat cast or a solo cast, which would just be me talking about my general thoughts about the world. And my first idea, the intention was to be so much more serious. You would not believe what I had in store for the first podcast. It wouldn't have sounded anything like this. It would be me literally, you know, being serious, which is not, it just wouldn't have been good. I'm so glad that I went this opposite direction because I had the intention to find people on the internet who are super duper controversial, like white supremacists and, you know, people who put on the, you know, pray the gay away camps and all kind of bullshit like that. Have them on, find them, invite them on, put them on with me, and then not necessarily tear them a new one, but find out exactly what the fuck is going on in their heads. That was my intention. And I thought that would be a really interesting podcast, and maybe it would have been. But I couldn't get those people to respond to me. I tried desperately.
Wow.
I couldn't get anybody to respond to me. Literally could not get anybody to respond to me. I talked to one guy about the people who are celibate, who are the people who are celibate, the guys who are celibate without, you know what I'm talking about? I've put this on before.
Term.
I forgot the term too, but the guy, incels, involuntarily celibate. I got a hold of a guy that was involuntarily celibate on Reddit, and, you know, I just decided that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life talking to these guys. Like, it was all talking points and indoctrination and all this other stuff. So I said, I'm really sad about this because now I don't know what I'm going to do. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I just need to get on there and start talking. And if I get on there and start talking, something will come of it, right? Maybe I need to do more of a show in the vein of the radio show that I was doing, which is just do a little bit of comedy, have some fun, talk about the things, talk about your life, talk about the things you know about. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do it by myself. That was the only problem. I didn't want to do the first one by myself. So I invited Krissy Hoadley on. And I could not have made a better choice because I think you've really become a huge part of the show. And I'm so happy that we get to spend this time together during the pandemic, time that we otherwise would not be spending together for sure.
Yes,
you know, maybe we'd be touching base with each other on texts or phone calls, but we wouldn't be seeing each other, and we certainly wouldn't be spending all of this time talking to each other if it wasn't for the show. But more importantly, I think you become a huge part of the personality of the show. And so I just wanted to take this time to say thank you, first of all, for being on the show. But I wanted to recognize you as now the official co-host of the Commercial Break.
Woo,
because I have changed the logo to put your name on it. And so that comes with a pay raise and all kind of good stuff. And by pay raise, I mean, I got you one of these fancy mugs with the TCV logo on it, Krissy.
I'm so excited. Do I have to declare that on my taxes?
I don't know. You check with your accountant on that one.
Okay, I will.
But I will let you know, you are also going to be an honorary member of the break room forever. Krissy Hoadley. Thank you very much. Which isn't even your name, by the way.
It used to be.
It used to be your name. Yeah, so we've changed the name of the show.
You rarely ever called me Krissy anyways. It's just always been Hoadley.
I walked into that awful radio place that we used to work at. And I got my stuff it was like I'd been hired and I went in for my first day on Friday, but Krissy was not there on that particular Friday. And so I just went in for a few hours to meet all of the other, manager, director types that were working in the office. And we had a meeting, and then I went home and they gave me the keys to the office, the keys to the kingdom. They gave me the keys to my divorce and all the other stuff. They gave that to me in the carport and all this other shit. And my wife and I at the time decided, well, that was a Friday. On Saturday, we're going to go and we'll set up the office. We'll put a fake plant in the corner. We'll make it look all officially officey. And when I did that, I walked past your desk and I noticed the name, Krissy Hoadley, right? And I remember saying to my wife at the time, Hoadley, that's an interesting last name, Hoadley. But what happened there is before I even met Krissy Hoadley, I started singing a song like Hoadley Doadley, Hoadley Doadley. I was driving my wife at the time crazy because the whole weekend I was like, Hoadley Doadley. And she was like, you don't even know who this person is. I was like, I know, but what an interesting last name. Hoadley Doadley. And she's like, it's not Hoadley Doadley. It's just Hoadley. And her name is Krissy. She probably wants to be called Krissy, not Hoadley Doadley. Well, convention be damned, my friends, because I went in and from minute one, I did not call her Krissy. I called her Krissy Hoadley. And in some cases, I called her Hoadley Doadley.
You did. And then other people in the office also took your lead. And the next thing I know, everyone in the office is calling me Hoadley.
It was amazing. It was just amazeballs. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, after all these years of making it through schools and things and whatever, nothing like that had ever happened. I've come to love it.
Is it a true or false statement that other people in your life call you Hoadley outside of knowing me? So, in other words, I know that it kind of caught.
That's a false statement.
That's a false statement. So I'm the only one that calls you Hoadley. And so because of me, now there's a whole select group of human beings out there that that in any kind of environment or setting call you Hoadley instead of your actual name, which is Krissy. I mean, your name is Hoadley, but and when we put you up on the video screen, just to let you know, in memorandum of my calling you Hoadley, we actually put Hoadley instead of memorandum. In memorandum.
Well, memorandum. Well, there's something for when somebody dies, and that's like in memoriam.
John's mortuary. How can I help you?
Yes, I am trying to. I would like a plaque in memorandum of my dead grandfather.
You want a memorandum for your dead grandfather?
I do.
Okay, I'll have my secretary write that up and send it to you.
In memorandum. Take a memorandum.
I think that's where memo comes from. The memos.
Oh, the memorandum. But it's memorandum, isn't it? Or is it memorandum?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm so bad. Even though I am an expert in all things dick, like dictionary. Oh, yes. And I have to correct something from my story last week. If you heard episode number 22, I said Dick Delicious and the Tasty Tones. It's actually Dick Delicious and the Tasty Testicles.
That's even better. Where are they now?
I don't know.
I think everybody needs some dick and tasty testicles in their life.
Don't you mouth off to me or I'm going to slap you right in your penis.
Dick Delicious and the Tasty Testicles. I told the story. You could go back and listen to it about a band that I used to travel around the Southeast called Dick. I said Dick Delicious and the Tasty Tones. It was Dick Delicious and the Tasty Testicles.
That's a pretty awesome name for a band.
So anyway, Krissy, I want to say thank you very much for joining the show. Now an official part of the show, and you will be with me for the long haul or until you get sick of me.
Absolutely. Bryan, if I haven't gotten sick of you by now, I'm in it.
You've outlasted at least one of my wives.
I'm in it with you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm so happy to be a part of it, and it's been truly a bright spot. I mean, we always have so much fun when we get together.
Oh, man.
Even as life has gone on before the pandemic, you were getting married again and having children, and so we didn't see each other as much. So this has just been delightful.
Oh, look at that. A little sentiment here at the commercial break. No, it is. And I think that our friend Allison Risk-Hare put it perfectly on show number 1. She said, Krissy Hoadley is your perfect foil. She's like the yin to your yang. You need that in the audience, because Allison was part of me actually pushing me to kind of get onto a podcast. So I owe her a debt of gratitude also.
Yes.
And I always thought that maybe you would come on for a few episodes, or you might have a reoccurring role. But I never, at least at first, I didn't imagine that would be something extremely long term. But then it became clear after 5 or 6 episodes that, like, hey, this is working and it's funny and I like it and I enjoy it. So if I enjoy it and it makes the show enjoyable, if it's easier to get through the show with you on it, then it's best to have you there permanently. So now it's official, and we thank everybody out there who's been listening, because we've been met with some incredible success. At least that's what we consider incredible success. Listen, we're not Will Ferrell. We don't have 1 million listeners. But our little pocket of listeners is something we also never expected, quite frankly.
Exactly. Every time we get a new listener, I'm like, what?
You are welcome, man. No problem.
Hey, man, what's going on with my banner ad?
Well, we had some technical difficulties.
What kind of technical difficulties did you have?
We didn't exactly have a website up yet.
Where did my banner ad go?
I've been wearing it on my forehead.
Then how are people subscribing?
Well, I have a little check mark. I say, check here and leave your email address somewhere between my eyeballs and my chin, and I promise I'll get you the show.
Well, I paid a lot of money for that.
Yes, you did, my friend. And
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But don't worry about the little website issue. These are little technical difficulties that we can work through. Listen, if you want to, I've got another type of advertising that I think will work very well for you.
And what is that?
I am going to rent an airplane somewhere in Argentina. I'm going to have them fly around with a banner behind it. This is like the most effective type of advertising.
Oh, is it?
No, you wouldn't even believe. I have gotten such an incredible response. I've made at least $30 from the banner that I'm currently flying behind my airplane.
You have an airplane?
Yes, I do.
Maybe you should sell the airplane and buy a website.
Listen, you don't tell me how to run my business, and I won't tell you what to put on the podcast.
Okay, listen, I think we'll just pause the banner advertising for right now.
Okay, listen, don't be upset. I'm going to get these things worked out any moment. How's the gateway working?
It crashed. I had to buy an Apple.
I'm so sorry about that. Was it within the 3-day window?
No, it happened like an hour after the 3-day window expired.
Go figure.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye. Thank you. We're here at Podcast Universe. Are always here to help your ego.
So we had.
What is this guy's name, by the way? He's made many appearances now. I think maybe he deserves a name.
I think his name is Henry Fonda.
That's Mr. Fonda to you.
Who am I making the check out to?
Henry J. Fonda.
Okay, where am I sending that?
Well, a couple different places. I want you to send it to a couple different places. Do you know a courier?
No one uses couriers anymore.
Oh, no, we use them all the time. They're bringing your website right now.
Okay, Henry, I'll talk to you later. So I never expected that we would get maybe like 20 listeners, and then now here we are, celebrating 30 listeners.
I was about to say,
it's super exciting.
Grown beyond our wildest dreams.
So thank you very much. So we're on episode number 23. That's amazing. We're 6 months into this, and we've been doing that. And we were a month into the pandemic when we started. So now we're like 7 months into the pandemic. It's absolutely insane.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah, no relief coming from Congress, no leadership coming from anywhere. We're in the middle of a hotly contested election. It's just insane to think that we are exactly where we started with this pandemic. Like, I would have thought that maybe 6 months later we'd be, back to somewhat normal. But then I heard
that there'd be a treatment or something.
Then I heard Dr. Fauci say today that he doesn't think that we're going to be back to normal until late 2021, if not early 2022. Because,
well, see, at that point, I don't even think there will be like a back to normal. I mean, Yeah,
I don't think there's
some
going to be
things
a
are gonna
back
stay.
to. I don't think there's going to be a
Some
back to normal, even if it stops tomorrow. They find a cure tomorrow. I don't think handshaking is going to be a thing we do a lot of any longer. I think there's just going to be a lot of things that are much different. We're all going to be a little bit germophobic, and it's just going to be a different world and environment that we live in.
A lot of working remotely.
Yeah, working remotely. I'm telling you what, I work in the commercial real estate business, and the people who own office space right now are scared fucking shitless.
Oh, I bet.
Because they own a bunch of, they own a lot of square footage of office space, and they don't know that that office space is going to be filled. And there are some large companies like Salesforce, Google, Facebook, Airbnb. They're all saying you don't have to come back to work. Like, you don't have to come back to the office. You're perfectly good where you are. So if that's the case, then what happens with all this office space? Well, I don't know. It might go the way of the mall. Like, they're going to have to repurpose that into condos or apartments or something.
Yeah.
The whole landscape's going to change a little bit, and it'll, like everything, it's not going to happen overnight. It'll take time and it'll be slow, but it's going to be interesting. But as we've moved through this pandemic, we've learned a few things. Right. And one of the things that we've learned is that everybody and their mother started a podcast, including us.
This is very true. Literally, everyone.
Literally. I mean, it's just amazing. So we are going to start probably in the next couple of weeks. We're going to start a little a little pandemic podcast corner where we're going to start suggesting some of the best and some of the worst podcasts that we can find. Because now that we're doing podcasts,
I like it.
I've started to really get into listening to random podcasts, and I've found some really good ones that I don't know if they have any listeners or not. I can't tell, but I have found some really bad ones that I can tell have some listeners, and it's just unbelievable to me. But it seems like we've all started these in the middle of the pandemic. There's, by some counts, 1 million additional podcasts have been started since the pandemic began, and that's just amazeballs to me, right?
Yeah,
so
I believe it.
So we've learned that. We've also learned that testing is really the way forward. Like getting yourself tested pretty consistently is the way that we can all keep each other safe and knowledgeable about what's going on and where the virus is. And we're still not up to snuff on the testing, though here in Atlanta, at least, we can get testing pretty quickly and get the results pretty quickly. It's not that way everywhere.
No.
And I really think a quick at-home rapid COVID test is the answer that gets us all back to somewhat normal, right? But, still no leadership on that either. So I hope that we can get to the bottom of that sooner than later. And that's the interesting part about this pandemic is that my world has shrunk to just really a few people, right? It's a few people face to face. It's you, but that's just because we see each other every once in a while. It's my immediate family. It's the people that help out with my immediate family. Some people that babysit sometimes for us and stuff like that. My good friends. And then my father, my mother too, but then my father too. So my father's house has kind of become like this, little getaway that we can, vacation, this little getaway up there. And he lives on this beautiful lake that's, up there somewhere. He lives on this beautiful lake and he's got a beautiful house and, it's like the retirement of his dreams. Nice. And so we go so this is someplace now we're frequenting, I would say every other week, maybe we're going up there for a couple of days or at least once a month. So we go up there and we go to this lake. I've been boating all my life. My dad had a boat when we were really young. We've been boating all our life. My dad taught us how to drive a boat when we were young, taught us the safety, the rules of the road. Let me tell you a story real quick. My dad gets it. You knew it was coming. Here it is. My dad... My wife says, is there going to be a podcast episode where you don't tell a story about yourself? And I was like, well, no, probably not. I'll run. Don't worry. I'll run out of stories at some point.
No, you won't. I know you. Yeah. I've been listening to you talk about stories for 13 years, and I still hear new ones all the time.
Yeah, you're like, wow, he's really full of shit.
You're a good storyteller.
Thank you very much. I was trying to explain this to my wife. I'm like, I think there's some value in my storytelling. I make some of them might be a little fishtaily, right? They might be a little more grandiose than they actually were, but that's. But who fucking cares? Like, I'm just telling a story. It's just my perception of my own life.
One of my favorite ones has got to be real quick. It just came to mind about the Christmas time piano escapade. When I played Home Sweet Home. Yes.
I'm never going to live that down. And by the way, that story is not a fishtail. That is word for word true. It's just, it was the most embarrassing.
What episode is that where we talked about that?
Oh God. I think it's maybe
just crack up.
It's maybe 16. Is it episode? I think it's episode 6. I know episode 15 is with Rachel. So I think it's episode 16, but man, if you haven't listened to episode,
really funny story.
If you haven't listened to episode, I'll put it in the show notes.
It is the thing. Like I can fully picture this is going down.
Yeah, Bryan and his in-laws, who do not speak much English, inside of a beautiful Swiss chalet hotel for New Year's Eve. And I won't retell the whole story because you can go back and listen to it. But basically, I had been explaining to my wife what a wonderful instrumentologist I was. I had a grasp on many different types of instruments I could play, and I was really quite good at all of them. And her father overheard this and decided he was going to press me to play the piano in the middle of a New Year's Eve party at this chalet, and he just embarrassed me up into going up there and proving him right that I had no idea how to play the fucking piano. I mean, a little bit, but I just knew one song, and it was "Home Sweet Home" by Motley Crue.
I love it.
So when we got here to Atlanta, one of the first things I think my dad was doing his best to like make sure that we felt like we were doing things and we felt at some kind of ease, or we were having some kind of fun, because we had moved all the way from Chicago. We knew no one, not a soul. And that's a big move when you move to somewhere where you don't know anybody when you're a child. And I was like, 11, 12 years old. It was a big deal. We're moving away from all of our friends and our family and everybody that we know. So my dad was trying to make it fun. And I think one of the things that he wanted to do was have something for us to do on the weekends and in the summer. So I think he'd always wanted a boat. So he goes to the boat show, and the boat show guy convinces him to buy a boat, right? An open bow ski boat. But my dad was not like a boater per se. He just liked going on the boat, but he had never operated a boat as a boat owner, right? And we go out this is either our first or second day, but I will never forget this. We have these skis, like water skis, and we're trying to learn how to water ski. And my dad's trying to learn how to pull us on the water ski, right? And
there's a little art to that.
There's an art to it, right? And so I'm out back and I am skiing and I'm just not getting up. And, my dad says, okay, come on in and we'll give one of the other boys a try, right? The engine is on. And I'm swimming up to the back of the boat where the ladder is. And I say, the engine's on, right? My dad says, don't worry about it. It's in idle. Just get up and come on. As I start to pull myself up, I can feel something grabbing my swimsuit. And I'm like, oh my God, I kind of jump sideways. I'm like, oh my God, I think something like grabbed my swimsuit or something like an alligator.
Lake monster.
Yeah, lake monster. My dad's like, stop it, get in the boat. Come on, stop fooling around back there. Stop your shit. It's Sunday. Spare me the bullshit, right? So I get up into the boat and my shorts are shredded.
Oh my God.
I had the engine, the till had gotten me, right? Oh, no. It had gotten me, but it didn't get me. It got my very, at that time, baggy swimsuit, because it was 1992 and that was the fashion, right? Luckily, that was the fashion.
Thank God, yeah.
I had my Hammer Time pants on. Can't touch this. And so I get back up into the boat and my dad's like, oh my God, and Kevin's like, why didn't it just take him all the way in? And then, my dad's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, everyone's freaking out. And my dad teaches us the number one rule about boating is always turn the fucking engine off, right? You never have people in the water behind you when the engine is on. You just don't do it. Or in front of you or on the side of you. If you're out of the boat, the engine should be off, completely off. Not in idle, not in backwards, not in forwards, nothing. It should just be off unless you're towing somebody and they're 100 feet away on a ski rope or whatever. That's just one of the rules. And then my dad, as he learned, taught us the safety rules of boating. And I appreciate that because now I have a skill, or it's not a skill. I mean, it's not like a talent. I don't have a talent at boating, right? But I know the rules of the road. And if somebody asked me to go drive a boat, I could do that and feel comfortable that I was being safe and that I was being... I'm sorry. I just... I just thought of this time that we went to the lake, and this is when we were adults, and my dad like had given the boat to us. He was like, here, take this piece of shit. I don't want it anymore. It's a money haul. And I drove the boat up onto the shore. As I'm saying, I'm being safe and I'm being appropriate. But there are some rules to boating that you really have to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. One of those is in choppy water, you always got to drive your boat into the wake, into the wave. You don't want to be, you don't want to move sideways because then your boat could flip over. Mm-hmm. I say all of this is a long-winded way of saying that these Trump boat parades that are going on are a complete fucking disaster, and it needs to stop. Yeah. Because they are ignoring every rule of boat safety, period, end of sentence. You cannot have 60-foot for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, because it's a running joke here in the United States yet. And I don't think some of it's very funny because people can get hurt. People can die, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody down in Mar-a-Lago Mar-a-Lago decided that they were going to start a Trump boat parade. That's basically a bunch of people who support Donald Trump getting in their boats and driving in circles. Like
with a bunch of flags. And
with a bunch of flags and a bunch of, Trump paraphernalia. And then just I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what they're not raising money or anything. They're just driving in circles. They're just Trump supporters on a boat driving in circles. But God bless them. If that's the way you want to show your affection for our dear leader, Donald Trump, then that's how you do it. So they're driving in circles and they're chumming up the water. They're making it super duper choppy. The problem is that any small craft owner will know you're not going to get in the wake of a fucking, Norwegian cruise liner because it's going to suck you right in or it's going to tip you over. Big boats have big wakes, and you got to stay out of that wake. When there's big boats mixed with small boats and they're all chumming up a lake, so it's fine in Mar-a-Lago where it's the ocean, where you're not going to do much damage. You're just, it's just an ocean. So it's infinite water. You're not going to be able to chum up the water too much. But there have been a couple people now that have their boats have sank. Actually, I think there was 6 boats that sank over the Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
Because they were in this lake that's notoriously known for choppy water and bad currents anyway, just kind of a weird lake that's not easy.
Is that the one in Austin?
Yeah, the one in Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lake Travis. I've been there.
Have you? So what's the deal there? Why is it so dangerous? Why does everyone say Lake Austin's so dangerous?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I don't know either because that's the kind of research I do on these stories. But I wake up on Sunday morning and I'm reading all about this and I'm watching the videos of these poor people that are losing their boats. They're going down in a second. They're like, one bad wave comes over the bow or the back of the boat and the boat goes down and it goes down fucking quick too. Yeah. Because it's just a tiny little boat. It's a 20-foot ski boat. It's not meant to be out in 15, 20-foot waves. That's just not what it's meant for. But it just, it's... And actually, the people who are now famously become memes on this, apparently they had nothing to do with the Trump parade. They were just people out there that were boating, and they happened to get caught up in this bullshit, which now I feel really bad for them because it's like they're just trying to have a day out on
the lake.
Yeah, but there was 12 people in the boat. And I mean, when you have a 20-foot boat, you shouldn't have 12 people out on the boat. But now I'm reading all these memes, Hoadley, and they are just too fucking funny. There was one that had the Titanic song, like the lady, here, far, wherever you are, right as the boat's sinking, and I just thought it was it just made me cry, like tears of laughter because it was so funny. But now I feel bad because I know that they had nothing to do with the Trump parade. They were just a couple people out there. Why are you doing boat parades? What is the point? Why are you not raising money? I mean, I get it. If you want to go support Trump. But I mean, I guess it's like a rally, but without Trump. And on a lake with the boats. Okay. But if you're going to do one of those, you should put a little organization to it. And you should say, the big boats are going to go in the back, let the small boats go front. And that way, no one is in fear of drowning or dying because of the Trump boat parade. But they don't even think about this stuff. They just somebody just sent out a message on Facebook. I think it was just everybody show up. Yeah, fuck. You know who did that? Fucking Putin. That's who did it. Right. It's Putin. He's like,
Igor, come in here for a moment.
Yes, Putin.
Listen, I have the most wonderful idea.
Yes, Putin.
We're we're going to make stupid American drown in stupid Little Lake. I want you to put together a Facebook page that say, come join boat parade.
Brilliant, master.
Okay, tell big boats to go up front, little boats going back. Everyone drown.
Brilliant, master. We are like, it's so unbelievable to me. It's so unbelievable to me that it's so clear that Russia is making a lot of this stuff up and then posting it on Facebook and Twitter and whatever, and people fall for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
pun intended.
Yeah. Oh my God, the poor bastards who have lost their boats. Listen, I'm really sorry.
I think
sorry
it happened
in
another state too.
It did.
Was it like in Portland?
Nah, I think it was
or
in
something. Or
I think it was on the
out west.
Was it on the Potomac? They were riding up and down the Potomac. They were riding up and down the Potomac, and they were reenacting Washington's, cross across the river with the Trump.
They were. That happened.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I am the captain of the Good Cock Lollipop. Oh, the Good Cock Lollipop.
That's the name of another band.
That's okay. First person that names their band, the captain of the Good Cock Lollipop, is going to get a free
prize.
He's going to get a free commercial break mug. It's on me. Don't worry. I'll pay for the freight. The Married at First Sight in Australia is now over. It's official.
Ooh.
Well, no, it's not over. It's got one more episode, but it's kind of over because you kind of know what happened.
Okay.
I was watching the U.S. version because it comes out on Wednesdays, and then you have the Married at First Sight Australia, which comes in on Thursdays. The Married at First Sight U.S. version is not as interesting by any stretch of the imagination as the Australian one. As a matter of fact, I hope that they release some of the older seasons of the Australian one because I hear that some of them are really good. And now I know quite a few people actually that have started watching this television program because it's so good. You have to watch it.
Okay.
I know you're going to have to
put it in the queue.
Yeah, you're going to have to grab your yum-yums and put Lifetime on your phone. Just get it done with. So on the U.S. version, they send them this week. They're just being a couple. They're in their little apartments. They're all living together, right? And they're having some degree of acrimony at some point. And some things are good and some things are bad. But they get sent a little telegram in the mail, and they want you to ask each other questions as a couple, kind of little exercise, bonding exercise. Mm-hmm. Having trouble with my words today. So maybe it's all that sleep I'm not getting. They want you to have a little bonding exercise. So at some point, and I can't remember the names of the couples in the U.S. because honestly, it's just not that interesting. But one of the couples who don't see eye to eye on some stuff, one of the questions is, how are you going to fall in love with me? How are you going to fall in love with me, and how are you going to know when? That's the question. Right? How are you going to fall in love with a guy? What are we going to do to make you fall in love with me? Essentially is what the question is. And this girl comes up. So I want you to tell me now, Krissy, what do you consider love? What is love to you? Like, I'm not talking about like I love my puppy or I love my dad, or I'm talking about like I love my husband. What is love to you? As succinctly as possible.
Oh, Lord. Well, it's a lot of things. I mean, it's kindness and trust and respect and physical attraction and all of those things kind of wrapped up into one.
I think you got basically that's a very common answer that you would hear if you asked somebody, what is love?
Yeah.
Love between me and my wife is the knowing that someone always has my back. It's the knowing that someone is always interested in what I have to offer and what I have to say. It's the knowing that my heart's never too big to love just a little bit more, right?
They're your best friend.
Yeah, they're your best friend.
But also your lover.
Your lover.
That's the combo you're looking for.
You're my best friend and you're my lover. They don't understand. You're just 16 years old. They don't understand my love for 16-year-olds, Hoadley. They don't understand.
Yeah. That's not love.
So the girl asked the guy the question, or the guy asked the girl the question, whichever couple this is. And the girl responds like this. How are we going to fall in love with each other? I think if we just keep doing activities that we really like, we'll see each other being passionate about those activities.
Maybe.
Thought to myself, that's the most strange answer I've ever heard to how are you going to fall in love with me, right? But then he runs along with it. He says, yeah, I think you're right. I think when you see people doing activities that they're passionate about, that makes you passionate about them. And I'm like, Astrid likes to do her makeup, but then she seems really passionate about it, but I don't feel any particular way about it. I don't feel any particular way about her when I'm watching her do her makeup.
I feel like that's kind of a hard question though. Like how are you going to fall in love with me? I mean, if everybody knew the answer to those questions, more people would be in love.
Well, this is true. If they knew the answer to this question, they wouldn't be on Married at First Sight. Yeah. That's for fucking sure. Because these two are like a little bit nudnicky. They're just going back and like she said something completely stupid and then he piggybacked on top of it. It was this whole conversation about how they were going to get passionate about the things that they like to do, and that was going to make the other person passionate about them. And I'm like, you're getting love all wrong. You need to do things together that make you passionate about each other. Like do things together that you're both passionate about. That's one of the pieces of love, but that's not even the fucking question. Why are you answering that way? I want to play the clip, but I'm a little afraid that like I'm breaking some copyright laws. Maybe I'm going to get a little more brave with the copyright laws because I hear lots of other podcasts that's doing it, right?
Okay.
But I want to play the clip, but you had to have heard it. It was like the most unintelligible answer to what is love or having something to do with love that I've ever heard. I like to play golf, but Astrid does not find me more sexy because I am out there playing golf, because Astrid has never seen me play golf, because Astrid doesn't give a fuck about golf. It's just the way that it is. Like, I mean, just because you do something that makes you passionate doesn't mean that someone else is going to fall in love with you, because that makes you passionate. And that, my friends, is why the U.S. version of Married at First Sight should be shot out in the barn, and we should bring in the Australians for more Married at First Sight. And I know there's probably a lot of people right now that are like, the fuck is this guy talking about? He's talking about a show on Lifetime networks, right? But I promise you, give it one episode, and if you don't think it's some of the most trashy television you've ever seen in your life,
I do love trashy television.
I'll give you your money back, no charge. You won't have to pay for the episode, because watching two strangers be put in a situation where they have to be married is ultimately extraordinarily interesting. And when all of the people involved are made for TV, they're all camera ready. They're all like, they're reality stars essentially, right? And they're coming in ready to be reality stars. Then it makes it, and it's glossy. It's like a much more glossy version of the show. It's so much more interesting. And I implore Lifetime networks, which now I watch a lot of. I implore.
I cannot believe it.
Guess who?
I implore Lifetime networks to run the Australian version instead of the U.S. version, or make the U.S. version a little bit more like the Australian version, because quite frankly, it's a lot more interesting. That's just how I feel about it, Krissy. And
where did you see the Australian version?
On Lifetime networks.
Well, but you said you're asking them to put it on.
No, I'm imploring them to put more of it on. So
back of it on. Okay, gotcha.
So they've only had one season of the Australian version of the television show, and that one season is this season that I've been watching, because they only show it in Australia. And I even have a hard time finding old seasons online, because now I'm ultimately interested in this show. I'm hooked. Yeah, I would watch all 12 seasons if I could. I'd be like, this is awesome. This is glossy. They put them in super controversial situations. They're all getting together all the time, getting hammered and hitting on each other. It's just like, it's so good. But then you go to the US version, it's like, when are you going to make me fall in love with you? I'm passionate about shit. When I'm passionate about them. Give a better answer, dude. So, like, wake up. When I'm passionate about stuff, you're going to be passionate about stuff. And
what did they decide to do? Now I'm curious with the activities.
Well, Krissy, I'm glad that you asked. I think today we're going to go try something extraordinarily interesting. We're going to paddle we're going to paddle in the pond.
In the lake.
You know those two paddles with a little goose head? We're going to do that. That's something I find passionate. You want to have a picnic? What about a picnic? I'm going to bring some Maybach. We're going to get hammered by the picnic. Dude, get to fucking start breathing, dude. You're going to jump out of a plane. You're going to take her to the Maldives. You're going to throw her in the closet and make sweet, sweet yum yum love to her. Like, you know, when I do things that I'm passionate about, you're passionate about the same things I'm passionate about.
I will have to check this out.
Fuckers. Hey, I'm mad at the US version because now I feel like I've wasted an immense amount of my life watching the US version when I just had to go to Australia to watch a much better version. And by the way, we have quite a few Australian listeners. Oh. So, and I am thinking to myself when I dream at night, when I make connections that make no sense whatsoever in my head at night, like, you know, oh, somebody's listening from New York, must be Howard Stern.
Right.
Or somebody's listening from
very interested.
Somebody's listening from LA. It must be a literary agent from Netflix ready to give us a sweet deal. Right? So when I look and I see that people are listening from Australia, I'm like, oh, it's the cast members from 90 Day Fiancé, from Married at First Sight.
It must be.
Did you hear, speaking of TV, bad, trashy TV, did you hear that Keeping Up with the Kardashians is no longer a television show?
I did hear that.
Our long-suffering nightmare is over.
It's come to an end. Their reign. They're reign. They're still reigning.
Now I think
they're still lording over everyone else.
I think the truth is that I think they can make a lot more money. I think they make a lot more money on social media. I don't think that. Yeah, you know, I don't.
Yeah, they've spun out.
I don't think they need the television.
Yeah, I don't think they need.
Yeah, I mean, who's watching the E Lifetime or the E Network anyway? Right, 500,000 people, 600,000 people. It couldn't be a lot. I mean, it's a swaggy network. Yeah. So that Ryan Seacrest owns. I mean, Ryan Seacrest, what a loser! What a loser, Ryan Seacrest. I mean, come on, Ryan, get a real job, make some money. American Idol, Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
God, that's
when are you going to have some success?
Everything he does touches to gold.
I know. Wow. I wish I was Ryan Seacrest.
But he was from Atlanta. He was a DJ at a radio station here, Star 94, right? He
went to school here. He went to high school here.
Yeah.
And he was a Star 94 DJ, and he was actually on the show Blind Date. You can find the Ryan Seacrest episode of Blind Date here in Atlanta way back in the 90s. And it's so fucking interesting. He's already he already doesn't talk like a human being. Like he's already talking like a shithead radio disc jockey. Like, you know, hi, my name's Ryan. Nice to meet you. I'm into flowers and long walks on the beach. He's camera ready. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's camera ready. He's looking for any angle in. And somebody said, hey, we have this brand new shitty music contest that we're going to put together on TV. Do you want to be the host? And he went for it. And then he cut that other guy out. What was it, Ryan and Ryan or something? Totally cut that guy out. Yeah. And but in Ryan's defense, the other guy was like, no, I'm famous now. I've done season 1. I'm famous. I'm going to go on to other things, right?
In fact, I just saw something about that guy. He was like on one of those shows of like, Where Are They Now? Or
Where Are They Now?
What happened to that person? And he had some bad trouble after that.
Oh my God, dude. That's like, when you think of bad mistakes, that guy had a bad mistake. Yeah. So listen, Krissy and I are going to continue this conversation on The Break Room. Go to tcbpodcast.com. That's tcbpodcast.com. There's a big button there that says join The Break Room. You can join The Break Room and we will send you the rest of our conversation. We're going to end it now for episode 23 and then we'll pick it back up on The Break Room. The Break Room members will get it sometime this week. When you're listening to the actual episode, you're going to get the rest of this conversation. So it should work out just fine for you. You'll also get the video version of the commercial break. If you join The Break Room, send us your song parodies and audio clips. You can send them to info@tcb.com. That's info@tcb.com. And make sure that you hit all of the socials. That's at The Commercial Break. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We don't have Twitter, but mainly because I don't know how to work Twitter. So. But we're getting on it.
It's a crazy Twitterverse.
I love you.
I love you, Bryan.
We're going to get through this. Until next time.
Wow.
Until next time. It's Krissy and Bryan saying, peace out. Bye.
Email us at thecommercialbeat@gmail.com. Find us and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Commercial Break. New episodes drop every Wednesday. We can be found on Spotify, iHeartMedia, Apple, Google, and all major podcast providers. The Commercial Break is a great middleweight production. Written and produced by Bryan Green. Co-hosted by Krissy Hoadley.